Good morning.
It's Tuesday.
I love that, and I cannot wait to tell that story. Wait, first, welcome to the What's the Temp podcast. I am Betina, and I'm coming in hot.
And I'm Jen, and I need to check in so I don't check out.
Can we please tell the story of It's Tuesday?
I don't even know what the story is. You should tell it to me.
Okay, didn't you have an uncle that didn't say Tuesday?
Yeah, so Uncle Bob did pronounce Tuesday.
And I think we had this rhythm where we were speaking every Tuesday for a while. And so what happened was, I think I said, it's Tuesday. And I was so happy to get the Tuesday call. And you told me about Uncle Bob. And from that point on, I never said Tuesday again. Even when I'm on official business, I'll say Tuesday.
No.
And then I'll have to tell the story of Uncle Bob.
Aww.
Every single time. So I could be doing a speaking engagement and I'll say, so Tuesday, and then I'll say, that is not a typo. There's a story behind that. If you want to hear it, I'll share it. But, and then I'll go on with and I do it every time. So we now still will say, it's Tuesday. And it's so exciting and I love it.
That makes me so happy that you are honoring Uncle Bob's memory like that. You have no idea. That just made my day. I love that. Because there's a store in LA called Tuesday Morning, isn't there? Tuesday Morning?
Yeah.
And he loved that store. So he would always go to Tuesday Morning to get like Le Creuset pots 60% off or whatever it was he was looking for. High quality, what would you call that?
High quality cookware. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. It's Tuesday. So that was during the yoga era.
Yes.
During the yoga era and the accountability era. There was a regular Tuesday call.
Uh-huh.
And that's the story.
And what was funny was I would see the phone. I would look at the phone because my phone's 100% on silent because I guess at 52, I just don't like noise. So my phone's on silent. So I would see your call coming in and the first thing that would just come out of me is, it's Tuesday. So yeah, that's happy time for me.
And I would get onto the phone with you and I would just be smiling the second I heard your voice. Even when I get your voicemail, I smile because you've had a couple different voicemails throughout the years, but it reminds me, it's such a throwback for me because remember back in the day when we didn't have cell phones and we just had the answering machines.
Yes.
So people would really go to town customizing their answering machine message.
Yep.
And they'd really put their whole heart and soul into it. And I used to have a lot of different ones. And then you had a lot of really inspirational ones over the years. Mm-hmm. And I think your one currently is something like Make Today Great. But I get the buzz. I get that buzz just listening to the voicemail, even when I miss you. Like miss you, meaning you didn't pick up. Mm-hmm. I hear the voicemail and I'm like, still got the smile, you know?
You've left me several voicemails that I save every time about how much you love my voicemail.
I think we should kick it off since we are What's the Temp? We should kick it off with a temp check because you know I love a temp check.
Oh my gosh. So my temp check is varied this morning. So I woke up this morning to a call that I had missed at 3 a.m. and my phone is on silent, like I said. And I always say that I'm the mom that something happens to the kids, I'll find out hours later. But it's because I do really prioritize peace and sleep. And a lot of times those calls are not that serious. It's just someone and their emotions. And I understand that. And even if it was an emergency, I'm in another state. I can't even get there until a couple of hours, right? So I'll see it. Sometimes if it's something I need to wake up for, I'll see it immediately. It's wonderful how that works spiritually for me. But so I had a call that I missed at 3 a.m. from a friend who was having an issue with her boyfriend. So I texted as soon as I woke up and she called within a few minutes and she was just so distraught. All the tears she couldn't even speak. And so that was really rough. We were on the phone for about an hour. So I knew for me, as soon as I got off that call, I was going to need to go into prayer so that I didn't bring that energy into the call. So I spent the next hour in prayer and I felt so much better. And I showered and washed my face and brushed my teeth and put my retainers back in. And so my my temp check, and then I wrote. Like after that, I had time to do some writing, which is very early because I don't usually write until between 3 and 6 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, but because you gave me a book some time ago, you mentioned to me
Really?
Stephen King's book on writing.
Oh, yeah.
And I listened to like an hour of that last night, and I knew I was in the mood to write, but it was 2 o'clock in the morning when I finished. So I was able to write this morning based off of the ideas that I was having last night. So when I say my temperature check is this morning, it's an entire 350 from absolute recalibration, and it's amazing.
Wow. So you wouldn't be surprised to find out that I had that exact same temperature journey this morning,
Of
just because
course you
we are
did.
always aligned.
Of
So,
course you did.
yeah. So for my 3 o'clock in the morning, since we're on the same time zone right now,
Mhm.
I woke up with this horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach. I think I probably heard a sound that I didn't like. And it was
Mhm.
my 2-year-old daughter had escaped from her room
Ooh.
and was walking down the hallway, getting every single stuffed animal from the living room and bringing it back and piling it in her bed. And then I went in there and I was like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And she's just like, "I know like night night. I know like night night." And she just went completely ballistic
Oh.
for the next hour. And I've never seen her behave like that. And then I because of just the adrenaline rush of because then Herschel was up and we were both trying to convince her to go to bed. And then just the adrenaline rush of like her screaming like a she demon. I've literally never seen her
That
behave
upset.
like this ever, ever. And she finally, I guess, cried herself out and kind of went. But she's, she was angry and she cannot regulate her emotions. So I have so
Mm.
much compassion for her, but I was so wired from that level of adrenaline that I couldn't
Mhm.
ever go back to sleep since 2 a.m. And
Wow.
then she slept super late. And then Nico had a pediatrician appointment this morning. So coming to meet you, so driving home from the doctor, the entire 17-minute drive from the doctor to back to daycare, she was just screaming, "Purple lollipop, purple lollipop." I got her the purple lollipop, but it was a mystery. You know how the Dum Dum purple actually says mystery? So I should have
Okay.
realized mystery might not be purple on
Oh,
the
it's a
inside. So I get into
yep.
the car and I pull off the purple wrapper and it's blue. So that's why she was losing it over purple. That's why she was crying
Oh.
purple lollipop. I should have explained that before. It was supposed to be a purple lollipop and then it wasn't. So that was the end of the world. And then I
Mhm.
called Herschel and I was like, I was so pissed because just the doctor took so long and he's dropped a half ounce because he's been sick. And every time because he's so small, he's a 2% baby. So every time he drops at all, they go in on me. And I had 2 different people lecture me over his weight. And Herschel and I are
Mm.
like, he's fine. But they're telling me, I got to do this and I got to do that. But then they keep changing it and he can have oatmeal and now he can't have oatmeal. So I've just been frustrated. And so I was talking to him and saying, she was really losing it because her bracelet broke. And I was just telling him because she was losing it in the doctor's office. She just has not slept. And so it's just kind of snowballing now because
Mhm.
her bracelet broke in the doctor's office. She has one of those Indian bracelets with the beads, like it's like red yarn. So they're very fragile. And I said the word bracelet.
Mhm.
Then she switched to screaming bracelet. So for 17 minutes, I'm hearing either purple lollipop or bracelet. And I finally drop them off. And I, just like you, I said, I don't want to bring this energy, this like slightly above simmering. Like if let's switch to a
Mhm.
stove temperature. So it would be slightly above simmering, not a full boil, but just like a rolling low boil, maybe. That's
Yeah.
where I was at. And so I called my friend Joyce. And since today's topic is accountability, Joyce is my accountability buddy. And she always puts me in check. And she yells at me like regularly. And it's so funny because she's like the tiniest little cutest Italian girl, but she just will yell at me. Like she's just got a loud voice and she just goes in on me. So I was just like, I just need you for 2 to 3 minutes. I need to vent. And so I start just going off on her because I just need to get this out of my system, all of this energy before
Mhm.
I can come and meet you and be back in peace and joy. And sure enough, she's just like, she starts being like, okay, you need to take a deep breath right now. And she just starts going off on me in her little New Jersey Italian girl way. And I was like, oh, thank God for this person. And then by the time I got back and made my tea, I was like, I got it out of my system. And now I'm just sort of back at, I would say, really just like a nice 350. I'm back at baseline.
That's good.
Yeah.
But look at how we can self-regulate. And then can I just give you one tip, though, with kids?
Of course.
You're at that stage where you have to start spelling things, ma'am.
Spelling them?
You have to spell bracelet. You can't say it.
Oh, I know.
You know
right.
that you're at
You're
that
right.
place now where they recognize things and you can't say it anymore.
Yeah,
You have
that
to
was
start
that was a big miss on my part because we do spell things. I was like, I'm a really, really calm, laid back person, but I was like right at that level, right below enraged, where I was like, if one more thing happens, I'm gonna be at like door slamming level. Like, I don't get angry, but sometimes I can feel like I really don't. Like, I'm not an anger person. Like, I don't get angry often at all. But sometimes I can just feel it just right below the surface where it's like, you know, when you're pulling something, let's say I'm like pulling something out of the car and it gets stuck on the seatbelt. So calm me would just move it around and take it out from the seatbelt. But if I am in that other mode, I might just yank it really hard just to get some of that energy to find a satisfying place to land. So I can always feel when it's right below the surface. And that's where it was this morning. It was like, I'm staying calm. But then it's just right there below the surface. So then as soon as I got the kids out of the car to daycare, I just called my friend and just let it all come out. Boil over the surface, just get it out. So
I love that the maturity in self-regulating and doing what's necessary to get ourselves back to a level of equilibrium that works and that will not have us forfeit everything that has to go on or happen today.
I've got some tools in my toolbox.
Me too, at this gigantic age.
Yeah.
So I want to go right into something I'm happy about. Today's topic is real friends keep receipts. And if that check-in wasn't an example of that, I don't know what is, right? Like, real friends keep receipts. And
I love that title.
I do too. And it shows how we easily, how we can be transparent, but safe. And I think this is an extension of that because it was just important to me to not have that energy. When I think of a woman being hurt, it affects me on a different level because, you know, I have that whole superhero complex still that I had from a child, right? And so I want to rescue my friends and I want them to do all the right things. And I left a man for less. And so you're there because why, you know? So I needed to recalibrate today. And for me, that was prayer, and it totally did the trick. But another thing too is my attention span doesn't necessarily allow me to be in prayer for an hour. But baby, I must have needed that today because I was in that thing. You hear me? And it was great.
An hour is a long time.
That's a long time, but I was there and I was 100% present the entire time because when I stop feeling myself present or, you know, running out of words to say, I just leave the conversation. But that wasn't the case today. So I feel like I had a lot of things that I needed to unload and it was great. So being here, being back in this space, doing what we do and checking in. So let's do our accountability check. How's your week going with the things that you're working on?
So I'm working on 2 things right now. I'm trying to keep it super manageable because I tend to bite off more than I can chew, to use a cliche. The 2 things I'm working on right now is I'm working on waking up early and I'm working on not being late.
Okay.
So waking up early today, I got up, like I said, I got up at 2, and I'm still basically up because of the aforementioned adrenaline. I was going back and forth in my head because I was just thinking, what should I do here? I had told myself before coming into this week that I have to just be in the no matter what club. I just have to, even if the baby doesn't sleep, I have to get up at 4:30 because that's my goal, you know? I did get up on Saturday at 4:30. I'm not sure if it counts or not if I go
Why
back to
would you do
sleep.
that
It's
on the weekend?
because I actually do service for a meeting.
Oh,
So I have
okay.
a commitment that gets me up. And I like doing that. I like to be on the hook for something. I operate really well if I'm on the hook for something. Even with group fitness, like I can only do group fitness. I mentioned last time how I can't run at all or do any type of self-motivated thing. I need the illusion of like everybody's waiting for me. Like no one's waiting for me, but I have to think, it's everybody's waiting for me at this dance class. I just have to I have like a very delusional egoic sense of self-importance, I guess, where I need that group energy and I really thrive off that.
That's good.
So anyway, that's sort of a to be determined. I'm on and off, I guess. So I'll let you know next week if I can sort of develop more consistency. The lateness thing, I'm just abjectly failing. So yesterday I took the day off
Really?
work. Yes, yesterday I took the day off work and I went to the spa, Sojo Spa right outside the city. It's gorgeous and expensive, but we were supposed to leave. Me and my neighbor were supposed to leave at 8:30. I dropped the kids off at 8:30, and then I came home and I just still had a couple things to do. So I just said, let me just throw 15 minutes in here. I have to just empty the dishwasher. I have to just straighten up the living room because the living room is a cyclone of stuffed animals and diapers just to get the kids off to daycare. So I just said, let me just take this 15 minutes and then I'll be out the door. And 15 minutes turned into 50. So we didn't
Ooh.
even leave for the spa, and the spa is 50 minutes away. So we didn't even leave for the spa until 9:20 from 8:30. And I was really disappointed in myself. So I guess I just sort of need to reflect. It's this lateness thing. My relationship with time can only be described as delusional. It's just delusional. The amount of time I think I need for something and the amount of time it actually takes has no relation to each other. So the couple things I did wrong, I was on the phone with you. Always a bad move. I noticed that when I'm cooking dinner and I'm on the phone with someone, it's taking me twice as long. The second thing is I couldn't find my bathing suit. So this is a spa with all these different pools. So I had to end up going into the attic to get my bathing suit. Then as I was on my way out the door, I decided I needed to bring like 5 of these dark chocolate pretzel granola bars because I was just starving. I had to pack my pump into the pump bag, which I hadn't done in advance. And then my bag became too full. So I had this backpack, but then there was too much stuff in there between the pump and the granola bars and the bathing suit. So then was the biggest mistake of all probably. I had to completely unpack that bag. This is 5 minutes after I said I would leave. I have to completely unpack that bag and repack a different bag. And then I probably ran upstairs another 2 times after even loading my stuff in the car. I'm just a total spaz.
What I would love to see you do is find out what other moms are doing with their time, like how they're managing their time, because I have all kinds of techniques and ideas
I'll take them.
for what might work. Like I do
Okay.
things in blocks a lot of times. Remember how I talked about my 3-hour blocks? But like even when I
Yes.
wanted to write before we got on this call this morning, which was completely out of sync with how I would normally run my morning, but I had some free time and I have a lot of things on my project management software that need to be done today. So I was like, what's the smallest thing that I could get done? I said this last night after we talked. I was like, what's the smallest thing that I could get done? Oh, I could do an hour of Stephen King's book. Okay, let me do that. And then, because that's one thing that was on my list today for 3 p.m. And then I looked at the list again this morning and I was like, what's the smallest thing on this list that I could get done in a short amount of time? And that was just to start writing and just start putting words on paper and try and get to 1,000 or 1,500 words today. But, and then as the story started to come, the words just started pouring out. And then I said, I will go until you called. And So the thing is, though, what I did was freed up an hour and probably 20 minutes from a 3-hour time block later, which I'll need to use that for something else. But you can't think in 3-hour time blocks. If you just did
No.
15 or 25-minute Pomodoro blocks, right? Where you are working on something and you have these timers set, like a 15 or a
Mm.
25-minute timer, and then after after it expires, you're done.
You're
Wherever
done,
you are,
yeah.
you're done.
Well, I was gonna ask you, what would you have done differently if you were me? So if you're in a position where, you're supposed to be leaving to pick up your friend at 8:30, but it is
Mhm.
8:30 because you just dropped the kids off at daycare, and you are coming into a house that is a total mess and the dishwasher hasn't been emptied, and then your bag isn't packed, what would you have done if you were me? Because I think sometimes I just think on time is inborn. Like, I'm just the other kind of person that can never be on time. But
No.
take me through how you would be in that
What I
scenario.
would have done was prioritize if I had all this stuff in place and I was saying, okay, is the bag packed? No, that's a priority because I need the bag to be able to go and do everything that I
Mm,
planned for today. So the
true.
bag would have been priority. And then with whatever time was left after I prioritized packing the bag, then you could have done some things. I don't think I would have dealt with the dishwasher at
Mm,
all because
mhm,
that's not visually unpleasant. If I had 10
mm,
minutes left, I would have probably done some straightening up
mm,
in the living room just in case my partner came home and he doesn't have to necessarily run into my disaster.
mm,
So that probably would have been how I would have done things, but I would have had the bag ready so that I could still walk out the door at on time and have made a little bit of impact, at least in the living room, to where I
mm,
felt comfortable leaving. And then what that improves is your drive because there's no tension because we left on time and we can just sing and enjoy and communicate on the ride in. And then now we've set the tone for this amazing day. And then with whatever time you have left when you come home, you can finish whatever wasn't done once you
mm.
returned, you know?
Yeah. What you're
So,
saying makes perfect sense because prioritizing is one of my greatest weaknesses.
mhm,
I know it. It's the same at work. It's not a strong skill of mine. I just
mhm.
tend to sort of do things in the order that they cross my line of vision.
Yeah, and that's the worst thing you can do, and that's where my project management software comes in because I get to say these things have to be done before 10 a.m. And then I have this range of free time, not free time, but I can choose any of these tasks between 11 and 3. But at 3 p.m., I listen to my audiobook on the craft of writing. And then by 6 p.m., for sure, I'm penning. So I'm actually writing or have written the words that I plan to get down on paper today.
Mm.
And
So you
either
set timers.
I either set the timers or I time them or I give them a schedule all the way down to time inside my software.
Mm.
So it's prioritization on the highest level.
Nice.
And just for my accountability temperature check, I think I'm doing well for the most part. Although this weekend I kind of burned out. I didn't kind of burn out. I did burn out. You know,
How so?
I just needed, my mind needed a rest, my body needed a rest. And I've been going so hard morning to night. I don't eat a lot. I'm not exercising right now because it's been so cold and I
Mm.
don't have my home gym like I had in California. And so it's been a little bit harder for me to get all my things done. I get them done. I push through. I muscle through and all this and that. And I think all the muscling through got to me this weekend because
Mm.
I binge watched television. I ate junk food. I was in bed most of the weekend, not from any sadness or anything. I just needed to rest. My mind needed a break. I needed to not consume a lot of information for a moment. And that's what this weekend was for me. I think the beautiful thing from it was recognizing that just as much as I have to schedule all the things that I need to do, I have to schedule a break. I have to schedule
Mm.
rest. I have to give myself an opportunity to reset so that I am my best for what's coming up because I'm doing a lot of big things this year. So that was the biggest thing that I took away from this weekend. And that's my accountability temperature check.
That is such a good takeaway. Schedule rest.
Hmm.
Because you don't. Your whole day is just packed with activities and milestones and breakdowns of goals, and I've never heard you mention integrating rest into your schedule.
Because I never have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's new, and I think that's good. It's just the awareness of it, though, recognizing that I get in these cycles where I'm going, 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 and what happens is I start missing social events because I'm too busy and I can't be bothered to stop and celebrate a friend, or I'm
Mm.
missing, family time or family calls because I'm so busy that I can't be interrupted right now. And then by the time I you know, circle back to you, you're on to something else and you either can't be bothered or can't have that conversation at this time. So what
Mm.
happens is it starts to like goal achievement can be damaging when it starts to uh, help you take your values out of order and out of
Mm.
takes all the other things in your life out of sync for the risk of goal achievement. And I feel like, I use the word idolatry a lot, but it can become idolatry if you're not careful. So for me, recognizing that rest is just as important as discipline and focus and checking off the boxes was a big thing
Mm.
for me this weekend.
Isn't the body amazing when the body's just like, you're done here?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that John Lennon quote, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans?
No, but I like it.
So true.
I like that. So I want to go into the backstory. This is exciting for me.
I'm
Uh,
excited. I'm so excited.
the backstory question for today is when's the first time that you really held each other accountable? And so what's yours?
No, no, no. You start.
So,
Because yesterday you told me you mentioned something and you were like, I was like, don't remember that. So I'm so
okay.
excited to hear it. I don't remember this at all.
So you checked me really good in 2023. So just as goal oriented as I am today, I think this was kind of starting in 2023. I at 2023 in middle of the year, like in May, I looked at my year and I was like, man, I made such and such goals at the beginning of the year, and I am nowhere near where I need to be on the achievement of these goals. So I started an accountability group. And Jen was in that group. You were in that group. And my two goals, I had like 13 people come into the group, and each person was supposed to bring 1 to 3 big goals, like big things that they wanted to work on for the next 6 months. And then it was a rigorous group, right? It was kind of rigorous. We were reading books and we had all kinds of tasks and stuff to do. But
Yeah, you gave
the
us homework.
But it was good. Like, it kept us on our toes. It gave us something to look forward to, and it gave us this collective experience of showing up to the group and not wanting to be the person that did not do what they'd said they were going to do this week. And so
Yeah.
at the end of the day, when it comes down to accountability, all that matters is did you do what you said you would do? So that was the reason the group was formed. Well, my experience when you held me accountable for the first time, you have this beautiful, innocent curiosity about you that I love because I'm not a naturally curious person. And so I was checking in with you. You were my actual accountability partner inside that group. You were my accountability buddy, which I've totally stolen from you since you
Hmm.
first said it to me. I've used it
I did
multiple
not make that up.
times.
Yep.
Well, you first said it to me and I've used it. I've run with it. But I remember every week we were checking in, and though my two goals were to lose weight and I had a specific amount of weight that I wanted to lose and to increase revenue in my business. You remember that? Those were
Yes.
my two things. And remember, because I had the Peloton and I was loving it. And every week we were checking in. I had my receipts, honey. I was sending you photos and videos and uploading stuff in the group. And it was, and you were like, that's all great. And then finally you said, yeah, but what's going on with your business revenue? And it was like crickets on the other end of the phone because I didn't want to talk about that because that was really hard. Like, even though it seems like the Peloton and the consistency and the focus and strapping in would have been hard, honey, that became joyous for me. And you could
Mm-hmm.
feel my energy with the workouts and the progress that I was making because that was tangible, right? And you called me to the table about the revenue, and the revenue I kept pushing to the back burner because it was hard and there was a mountain that I needed to climb. And I didn't feel like I had the intellectual capacity to climb that mountain while climbing physical mountains on the Peloton, right? Or
Mm.
virtual physical mountains on the Peloton. I don't think I had the intellectual capacity to do them both. And what it was is what I realize now that happens is scientifically, you know, that a lot of times when you're starting something big, all of your conscious resources are used for that one thing. And you really don't have a lot left to do yet another big thing. And this is why people suffer when they're working on multiple big projects at one time. There's always going to be an area of your life that gets neglected or where you falter. And I had to stop making excuses. I had to stop covering up the success and the focus and the discipline of one area and actually be honest about how hard it was.
Mm.
It made me sit down and focus because, again, I wasn't going to be the weakest link in the group or in our accountability circle. And so I sat down and I learned how to read through these contracts. I learned how to successfully submit and I learned how to do multiples in one day because you called me to the table that day on accountability. And that was huge for me.
Hmm.
You remember that?
So vaguely, just because this was a Tuesday
It was a
yoga when I was driving
Tuesday.
to yoga, because I would always call you right as I was driving to yoga.
Yep.
And also, just for the record, this is a surrender yoga class. So I just always feel the need to defend that I am not a very strenuous person. This is a class where you just lay on the floor
You're
and
so
stretch for an
funny.
hour. And it was so good. It was just so meditative and I just loved it. I haven't been able to go since having popping out a second kid, but um I do vaguely remember it, but it's interesting hearing it back because it's it's funny when to someone else I think I see what you're saying. Really, I'm just curious. I was asking that in a really innocent way because you told me that's what you wanted to do. So it's funny
Absolutely.
because to you the way you say it is almost like, "Oh, I was holding you to the flame or something." But it's like I was really just saying, you know, mirroring back to you that you told me you wanted to do this, what's happening with this? I was asking it in a completely innocent way. And then for
Mhm.
you to hear back what you had said and then hold yourself accountable. So it's really like I did nothing except just repeat back to you what you had said to me. But I think that is what was so cool about that accountability group is nobody is telling me what to do.
Right.
I'm setting the parameters here. And I think that when you fall short of that, to me, that feels better than, I guess, having somebody else having some type of external pressure. It feels better to me to have it be coming from me because I think I have that thing where if I hear any type of voice that's like, you should be doing this, you should, I really rebel against that.
You're gonna
So
do
if
the
I said
opposite.
it, I can't really rebel against myself.
You're gonna do the exact opposite if it's someone else. So I get that. And maybe it was that, but I understand there's a level of courage though as well because when it's a friend that's an accountability partner or like a mom or a sister or a cousin that really really likes you, they kind of have the tendency to say, "Oh, you're doing your best, sweetie, and I just love you. I see your effort. You weren't doing that." You were like, "Yeah, but did you do what you said?"
Yeah, no, I'm not that person.
It wasn't coming off for you like that, but I heard it as, "Yeah, but that's not what you said.
Yeah, I'm
You
very
s
blunt, if nothing
y
else.
you said you were going to do this and that today, and we're only talking about half of what you said. Can we talk about the other half now, please?"
What's up with that?
And so that it changed everything for me, and it really informed how I do accountability groups now because it's just not now understanding that capacity piece. It wasn't me shirking on my responsibility. It made me really, take a look at myself and look at introspectively at how I was approaching these goals and really having to understand that there's a level of capacity that's missing here and either you're going to get it or you're going to change your goals, and I wasn't willing to change my goals. I was willing to learn how to do what I said I would do, and that learning curve was hard, but I was able to do it. And so it showed me that I could do more than I thought, but at the
Mm.
same time, um, show up as the way that I wanted to in life and in my group. So it was a couple things. It helped me. It framed things for me. So how about you? When did I ever
Hmm.
hold you accountable?
Oh, I just cannot wait to tell this story. Okay. So at 4:30 in the morning, so I keep all my text message conversations going back years. So I have receipts. And whenever my phone is actually full and I'm facing a situation where Apple is telling me you are about to start, I think I pay either 199 or 299 for whatever gigs of storage. And
Mhm.
they're telling me now with this annoying message that keeps popping up that I'm about to be charged $10 a month, which is such a huge jump,
It
right? Isn't
is a
that so
big jump.
unfair?
Yeah, a big jump.
They tricked me, and now I have my whole livelihood is on here. And they keep saying, "Why don't you just free up some messages?" And I'm like, "No, I need all my messages.
I
It's so
need them.
ridiculous. I need them." But here's why I need them. In the rare occasion where I need to pull something up like this. So I can tell you that it was on June 20th of 2020 at
Mhm.
7:10 p.m. This is not when I talked to you. This is when the original event occurred. So,
Okay.
to give you the backstory, I have a male best friend. I don't know if he thinks I'm his best friend, but I know that I think he's my best friend. I really don't. Like, I was thinking about that also. Like, I don't know if he would necessarily say that, but I've known him since I was 4. I'm obsessed with him. Like, he's just, when you just meet those people. I've known him forever. He was my brother's best friend growing up. He's like my brother. He
Mhm.
is so funny. He's so musically talented. He helped me write songs when I was really into songwriting. He cracks me up. It's just like you just meet these people in life and I'm so obsessive and I'm so intense. And it's just like, I just love people. When I really love people, I love them so much. And I just love this kid. I just love him.
Mm-hmm.
He's precious to me. He's so special to me. So he started dating someone, a friend of mine, and I will just never learn this lesson. I'll never learn this lesson. So this is 2020. So what is it? 2025 and I'm 41. So I'm 36. So I just have to put it out there also. I was not even 2 years sober. I had a lot more drama going on in my life at this time. Now I'm no drama at all. So I never will learn the lesson that you can't come out against someone's partner.
Yes.
I have made that mistake. I don't know why I refused to learn it. So we were driving to a Friendsgiving and I remember saying, this is a huge mistake. I was basically trying to manipulate him not to date this person. I was saying, she's drama. She's not right for you. I just expressed my disapproval in no uncertain terms. And that never works because he's also head over heels in love with this woman. And you just can't do it because what ends up happening is you lose. So I had a friend in college who I did this exact same thing. She met this guy. I just couldn't stand him. Like, he was just so rude. I would see him in the bathroom. We all lived in the same like big house and he would just ignore me. Like, he just would not even speak to me. And I was like, this guy's a piece. Like I thought he sucked. And I remember saying that. They've literally been married 20 years. Like, I lost. We are not friends anymore.
Wow.
And she was another one of those people that I've never met anyone else like her. So it was a huge loss. That friendship was a huge loss in my life. Our friendship never recovered. So then skip to 20 years later and I'm still doing the same thing. I haven't learned my lesson. So I had said that, and then I guess so then you have to skip forward. So that would have been in November if it was a Thanksgiving. So now we're going to June. What did I say? June 20th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I get a message and it's from my male brother, best friend. And he says, I'm not going to read the whole thing because I don't want to, be too much betraying what happened. But in essence, what happened is that he sent me a text saying, I've been ignoring you because I don't appreciate the way you treat person's name who he was dating. And then kind of put all this stuff in there about how I had been talking, I'm not cursing, remember, so smack about this person. And just a very typical, someone says you're talking about them, and then just a bunch of stuff. I'm really disrespectful to the relationship. A bunch of stuff that she specifically had said. And I felt so attacked. And instead of pausing would be the thing I should have done there. And instead of calling someone, any of my tools in my toolbox, no, I was just completely like up in arms. And I texted back. I actually looked at how long did I wait to text back. Because again, receipts, 18 minutes. 18 minutes. And that's if I even received that at that exact moment. So I probably waited 2 minutes. And then I was just completely activated. And I texted, so I don't mind saying what I texted just because I'll hold my own self to the fire. But I just basically went right in and I said, I'm going to send you my communication with this person. And this is less than a year ago. You guys were already together. And then I proceed to send him 6 screenshots of my communications with this person that are all super sweet because I actually really loved this person. Like, she was a very sick person, but I was never rude to her. I was never mean to her. So when somebody accuses you of something and you know it's not true, that's what was getting me going because it's my ego. And it's like and then 2 days later, so he doesn't respond to me. And then this is the craziest thing is that actually it was her typing this.
Yeah.
I forget how I found that out, but I fire back all these screenshots. And sure enough, like, these are delightful screenshots of everything I had said to her. I really did love this girl. I didn't want her for him because of the, whatever. I disapproved for my own reasons. So then 2 days later, now it's June 22nd. So I just fire back, no response. Then 2 days later, now we're June 22nd, 2020, 3:54 p.m. I send it takes up the entire screen of my phone. I'm looking at it right now. And it's like, I am crushed that you would believe I was gossiping about. So I'm just like I'm being so baited. And that's what this person did too. This is what she was like famous for. But I fell into that trap. And I was so like, my ego was so bruised and I needed to defend my honor. And then it was so funny because I was on the phone with you. I don't know how long that was after this. So I sent this super, super long text message. Also didn't get responded to. So I'm just like wilding out now. And I called you and I told you the story of my victimhood. And it probably went on about 10 minutes. And you were just like, And so I felt like you're with me. I'm telling you about how she was really there and she was manipulating me. And it might have even just been her typing this. And I don't know if he was even there and how nice I was to her. And now he was my best friend. And now he's not talking to me. And you listened to my whole sob story for like probably well over 10 minutes knowing me. And then I concluded and I was like, left a pause. Like, so what do you think? And you said, there is a lot of unnatural energy here, and you have a lot of work to do. Me.
That's epic, though.
There is a lot of unnatural energy here, and you have a lot of work to do.
Jen, that you can quote me verbatim like that, though, is hilarious to me.
I'll never forget it. I was stunned. Because I just told you the story of my victimhood. And I thought you were following along, and I thought you were buying what I was selling.
I was totally following along.
You were following along. You just weren't on the same page as me. And then my next reaction after being stunned into silence was I just started laughing hysterically because that is exactly what I needed to hear to get over myself.
That's awesome.
And that was the best accountability I've ever received.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you let me go first because I needed that laugh. That was freaking some.
I've told every single person I know. I think when I tell people who you are to me, that's the story that I would lead with.
That's the story you lead with? We have a million of them, though.
But that's the one that when I tell people this is our relationship to me is defined by that type of honesty. And because you were so right. Like, what was that about? Why was
it was a lot. I remember when you just told me the story again, I remembered the feeling because I was caught into your emotions and my whole thing was, I get that you needed to be heard and that you wanted him to understand. But like you said, it's right now them against you and you have nothing to defend.
Yeah, I don't have a leg to stand on. And I'm wrong for being judgmental of their relationship and for, sometimes you just have to let people have the dignity of their own journey. And
that's my favorite phrase.
Was not learning that lesson. I thought I could prevent it. It's like my motives were good, but I was so far in the wrong.
How you were going about it was wrong.
Yeah. Because I wasn't wrong. Like, they were a disaster together. It was really a train wreck. But guess where being right gets you?
Yeah.
Nowhere at all.
Yeah.
And you can't also, just to be really human about it, you can't stop the love train. I remember seeing him a little bit after that and him just saying, I love her. And I was just like, but you can't stop the love train. Once you get on board, it's just going to go wherever it's going to take you until it fizzles out or until there's some big explosion and it goes up in flames. It's really hard, I think, especially when you're in that initial sort of, I don't want to call it love bombing, but like the initial new relationship energy high, it's not very likely that you're going to walk away from that. That's a pretty great feeling.
UK, You can't tell me a damn thing. I'm lost, at least it's a daydream. I turn into a hole. My days don't stop till my legs weak. My heart is beating like crazy. Does it all to a tune of its own.
One of the things I appreciated about my girlfriend group, and I talk about them a lot, it was just these girls that we hung out with, and there were so many of us. Like, it could have been easily 50 of us all together if we got in one house all together. But on average, about, I don't know, 15 or 20 of us traveled together on a regular basis. But we raised our kids together, and, we'd have Thanksgivings and things in the same house. And we understood something about relationships young that I don't think a lot of people get. And you know how when you're, like you said, love bombing and everything is new, their sex is new. We used to have a thing that peen takes precedence. So we used to say it, and I know it's vulgar, forgive me, but we used to say it.
Is she saying what I think she's saying?
I'm saying what you think I'm saying. But the thing is, it was just our honest way to say, she's being stupid right now. We just have to let her be stupid right now because we understand there's no way you're going to be able to talk her off that ledge. You have to let her do that because they're in that love bombing phase. After she comes to the other side, when she comes back to herself, we can talk to her about it. But right now, it's a waste of time. And so we just understood it and we walked away and we let you go through what you were going through until you were able to see things logically from our standpoint or our vantage point, and we could talk about it. But in the meantime, peen took precedence.
That is so hard, though. It's so hard. It's so hard not to say something.
Yeah, it's hard.
I know it's the right thing to do is not to say something, but
well, I was going to just say, when you get to a level of growth, you just understand that you don't have anything to defend. Like, letting go has been a superpower for me, just being able to say, so I'm not going to engage in that. But it's certain things that make me where I must, but it's usually my kids or my man. And outside of that, there's not a lot that I'm that passionate about where I have to be heard. You're going to hear me. It's like, I can kind of zoom out. I talk about zooming in and zooming out. Sometimes you're so zoomed into the situation. I wrote about this in my first book, that you're so zoomed into the situation that you cease taking in new information that helps you really see a fuller picture. And it's not until you zoom out that you can see other vantage points and say, I'm just not going to engage with this. You can feel how you want to feel. I'm going to love you anyway. And I'm always going to be here for you when you come on the other side of this. And that wouldn't have completely ruined the relationship that you had all those years.
So I have such a problem letting go of old friendships because I have a few people that I've just known from a really, really young age. This particular person I've known since I was a very small child. And then I have another person who I've known since I was 14. And our relationships have both had falling outs. And I have been so unable to let them go. I remember talking to you one time, and actually this is not a quote, but I remember you saying something along the lines of, I will cut you out. Even if I've known you 14 years, I will cut you out. Like you said something like it was just a very I wash my hands of you type of thing. And I have been known to pursue relationships to the gates of insanity. Well, hold on.
And just on the basis of longevity.
Yes.
And that is not
it's not healthy.
That's not a factor.
It's not healthy. Well, it's a factor for me because you can't get another one of those ones, I should just think, well, you have other ones, but maybe those ones aren't as special to me. When I see someone, I have such a soft spot in my heart for certain people, and to think of losing, it's not like I'm just going to go out and grab another person I've known since I was 4. So I feel this tremendous sense of attachment, I guess. And now that I'm saying the word attachment, it's like, yeah, that's not healthy. Attachment to that extreme is not healthy. But I feel this loyalty to them. I don't know.
And when you think of people walking a different path than you, so for me, one of my really great friends from childhood, we met when we were probably 6 years old. We went to high school together, very close. She was like my bosom buddy, right, in high school. And then after high school, we kind of went our separate ways because I had kids. She didn't. She moved to another part of California and was living a completely different lifestyle. So then when we came back together, I'm in my 40s. I have my dental career. My kids are, just kind of I'm an empty nester. So things I'm thinking we're going to pick back up where we left off because she came from a good family, right? That turned out to be an absolute disaster. I've never had a roommate because I wasn't that person that lived on a college campus and all that kind of stuff, right? So I had never had a roommate. So I was like, let's do it. I got a 3-bedroom and let's move in together and all this and that crazy stuff. Girl, I was crazy.
It always sounds like such a good idea in the moment.
It sounds like a good idea
Yeah,
because we've
it's
known each
exciting.
other since we were 6 years
Yes.
old and we did the whole high school thing together. So you would think it was an absolute disaster. We ended up having fights, actual fights.
Like physical fights?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You know.
Oh, no.
Child, you know your girl.
Yeah. Just because I'm talking to you, I had to specify whether it was physical.
I don't play with certain things. And so it was really, really a disaster. And I had held on to the relationship because of longevity, And so what I've taught my daughters is, sometimes people trauma bond. And you think that it's a real relationship, and what it is you guys had trauma in common. And because you had trauma in common, do not necessarily great friends make. And so especially when you two take different paths. And so you have to think, not to say that I'm better. I just took a personal development journey. I took a spiritual development journey. I took a growth journey. I had to be an adult for my children. I had to be a provider. I had to grow because I wanted my children's experiences to be different from mine. And even though I still made a lot of mistakes along the way, I was going to either grow from them or grow through them or grow in spite of them, So for me, it was about growth and achieving different levels. And for other people, it's about, I'm going to get you before you get me,
So what happened? Did you just separated ways and you never spoken again?
Absolutely. Because that was what was good for me. I can't let someone change the trajectory of my life because I'm holding on to something that probably at this point should no longer be.
Yeah.
So I learned, you live and you learn,
Well, I have 2 follow-ups to what happened there. So the first follow-up is I didn't even learn my lesson after that. This is how much of a creep I am. So I so much so didn't learn my lesson, even though I lost my college best friend for this exact reason 20 years before, that I then decided that the move, I don't know how long after this it was, I decided the move was to write him a letter. So I wrote this long, heartfelt letter. And I think I always think like I am a words person. And when I write a letter, people cry. I'm just saying. Like I write a lot of really heartfelt cards on people's birthdays or when someone's going through a hard time. And if someone doesn't text me to tell me that they cried when they read my card, I'm like, what's going on here? Like I really do express I'm not effusive. Is that the right word to use? I'm not emotive, whatever it is. I don't show emotions on my face like at all. I have no facial expressions, but I express myself through writing. So I thought, wait till he gets a load of this. Like, I'm just going to write this incredible
so funny
ode to our friendship. And I wrote him this letter and sent it out. And of course, I didn't consult with anyone. So again, just going on my own crazy will, like just my self-will run riot. I actually consulted with a few people after I sent it. So I had written it in my phone notes before writing it out ever so perfectly on paper, sent that out, never heard back. Because what a creep. What are you doing? Why are you pursuing this? I know. It's like, we know where you're coming from and we're not interested.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go do us now. So I'm still on the outs. And then I went through this crazy grief period where because you have to understand, I really thought he was my songwriting soulmate. We had recorded music together. We had spent so many nights just talking all night long and just having fun and playing music. And it's worth also mentioning that we were huge drug addicts at the same time. So it's not a normal, relationship, I guess. It's also, there's also this thing that's fueling both of our own pursuit of insanity separately, but in a parallel path. So then it's like, I got sober. This person didn't get sober. Then we were sort of going to meetings and getting sober together. So it's like we had so many chapters of our journey. And I think that's why I was so sentimental about it. It's like we were children. Then we were in high school. He dated my best friend in high school. We were always together. And then me and my brother's friends always hung out all through high school and all through college. So there was just so much exposure to this group of people. And then we did drugs together, and then we made songs together, and then we got sober together. And so it was just devastating to me to lose this person. And I went through a period where I just grieved the loss of that friendship. And I think I just needed to feel those feelings and grieve and give myself the space for that and meet myself where I was at. And then basically as soon as I just let it go, we reunited. And a couple years went by. He's now broken up with this person about 2.5 years ago. And I guess something made me think of him, and I reached out to him just to say like, oh, such and such song. I forget exactly what it was. And we are now rebuilding this relationship. And we met and had a lunch, and we've been talking, and we've had a couple of phone calls, and I think we're sort of both back on board to try to navigate what might this look like. Now he's been sober 2.5 years, and what might this look like now in 2025? It makes me really, really happy. When you just know that person, it's just like they just make you laugh, and they send you songs that you love. It's an irreplaceable person. And I only have a couple of them.
A person that gets you.
Yes, he gets me. And it's just like, I think I could count the amount of people that I have that with on one hand. So they mean so much to me. So it was cool because I just went through the grief process. I said, okay, I'm letting this go. And then now I have it back. And I hope now that we're both on stable ground. It's interesting because it's going to be a story for a whole other episode, but it's like, how do you navigate? I do want to put a pin in this for a future episode, but how do you navigate a friendship between opposite sexes? Because one thing that my, let's just call her what she is. She's my sponsor. One thing that my sponsor said to me when I was grieving this friendship is she said, if you guys did reunite, it wouldn't be the same anyway. And I just said, what are you talking about? And she said, because you're with Herschel now. And I just was like, what do you, like, because, I was gay identified for 17 years. So I don't know what the dynamics of straight relationships are. But I have noticed that I don't have a lot of female friends who are in monogamous relationships who go out, for example, to dinner with a male friend alone. I have noticed that. It's not like I haven't had my eyes open. It's just that I've always felt like the rules don't apply to me. And when I tried to look around now for examples of male-female platonic friendship, I wasn't finding any.
I have Corey, though, for that.
I know. And then, crazily enough, all I had to do was look in my own backyard because Herschel's best friend is a woman. He has a couple friends from childhood who are also male friends, but most of his friends actually are women. And so that sort of opens the door for, actually, it doesn't have to be different because I'm with him, because he's on the phone with women day in, day out. Every time he's on the phone, I come out, he's on the phone with a woman. So it's been really interesting because it's now been the two of us saying, we just watched When Harry Met Sally, or I rewatched that movie around Christmas time. And then just the whole premise of that movie is like, can men and women be friends? And it's been really interesting navigating that and trying to rebuild now at this point in our lives. So it's making me really happy in this time. So that's sort of my happy ending.
Well, I'm glad that the story has a happy ending because I remember experiencing that. And I remember that quote, which is still hilarious, but I remember it. And I'm glad that it has a happy ending because you guys do deserve that.
Thank you. And me too.
Always by your side. I'll be always by your side. Through shifting skies and endless miles, I walk with you through every trial.
I want to go into our next segment of how, and maybe we can answer these questions a little more quickly, but how does accountability transform relationships?
This is one that what it opens up for me, which is also another to put a pin in it because it would be an entire episode unto itself.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the first thing that pops into my mind when you ask that is my relationship, my primary relationship with my partner who I have kids with. I've never experienced this much accountability in my life. This is my first sober relationship. I have never done any work on any past relationships I've ever been in. And seeing who I say I am held up to the mirror of who this person sees me as and thinks I am has been a rude awakening. So I'll just leave it at that. There is so much accountability, and it's really been just a pile of stuff to work through. And I can go on about it forever, but it's definitely it's transformed our relationship. It's been hard work and it's been uncomfortable, but it's been worth it.
I want to piggyback on that.
Okay.
Because honestly, I think you're absolutely right. Even me with my failed marriage, what we've been talking about post living together, filing for divorce, what we've been talking about is what we could have done differently.
Mm-hmm.
And having that mirror held up to you, when you know better, you do better. So I'm a learner. And so when I saw that my marriage was tanking, the first thing I wanted to do was go to people who I knew had successful marriages or learn from people who were teaching how to have successful marriages. And you know how many books I read a year, right? At least 25 books every year.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the books that I was reading at the time was Understanding the Purpose and Power of Marriage by Dr. Miles Monroe. And I realized that the wife that I could have been, I was not, even though I was right for leaving, if that makes sense. I don't feel wrong for ending the marriage.
You don't regret it.
I don't regret it. I think that was the best thing for me and for him because I believe he's going to be a better guy in light of who he was inside of our 10-year relationship, right? And so, and this is what we've been talking about. So while we've apologized to each other, we've both made amends and we're both growing in light of the failure of that marriage. I feel that there were a lot of things that I could have done differently, a lot of conversations that I could have had. And I have the realization of what I did not do or the space that I did not create for the real nurturing and for a real marriage to really take root and germinate and grow was a failure on my part, even though he wasn't who he needed to be either. Make sense?
I am hearing a lot of growth here. That's huge. That is not where you were at a couple months ago.
No, not at all.
I think that's beautiful. I've also, just for the record, I'm so in awe of that because there has never been a time when I had enough humility to revisit one of my past relationships and ask and to look at what could I have done differently.
Wow.
Never. I'm always like, you need to not exist now. We failed.
because I too grieve relationships. I grieved the relationship before I left it. So it was dead to me when I left it. So I could do nothing but reflect after the fact. I didn't have to waste time grieving because that was already done. But
Mm.
I could reflect and I could see what was my part in why this marriage did not work. And so there was very much still the blame, he did this, he didn't do this, he wasn't that. There was still all of that, but then what was my part? Because what part of that was
Mm.
new? Where could I have given him space to heal and grow and become a better person in light of whatever his past experiences were before me? There was so much. So, yeah,
Wow.
it's definitely, uh, you know, a better Betina came out of it. I'll say that. So that was good. That was really good. And I want to go into our Promise Keeper pasta. That's our recipe for today. Promise
Okay.
Keeper pasta. And I am so excited to hear about yours. So go ahead.
Okay. So this is a new recipe. That friend that I mentioned earlier who yells at me all the time is also a really great cook.
Okay.
And we went to her house, a couple of people and I, with kids and everything the other night to just have an early dinner. And she served up a pasta that I never would have thought I would like. And here's why. Is it called pomodoro when it's the fresh tomatoes on the pasta? You know what I'm talking about? Or is no. Is that primavera? It's
Oh,
primavera. Pasta primavera. It's like fresh tomatoes and fresh vegetables, I think, on a pasta.
uh-huh.
I don't like that. I like a dark, savory red sauce with cooked tomatoes. So this is why this came as such a surprise to me that I loved it so much.
Uh-huh.
And it's pretty easy too. So it is a sauce that's made of cherry tomatoes is the only tomatoes in it, but here it's off the chain. So here's what it is. You take garlic, 3 large cloves, and you just put it in a pan with some olive oil. That's the start of all the best things, right?
Okay.
Then you're going to add 2 cups. I do vegetable stock because I tend not to add, this is another way we're opposites. I tend not to add meat where it's not absolutely necessary. And I actually just love vegetable stock and it makes me feel really eating clean and I like the taste of it. So I add 2 cups of vegetable stock and I bring that to a boil. Then I add a half a stick of butter. And then here's the best part. I add thyme and rosemary.
Love
Just
it.
a little bit.
I love fresh
Just a little
herbs.
bit. Isn't there a show, like a British show called Rosemary and Thyme? It just makes you feel so old-timey to add something like that. It makes me think about these sort of herbs going back through generations and Italian kitchens and Italian cooking. And I just add a little bit because Herschel's not a huge fan of them. So I have to make it super subtle.
Okay.
Fresh is the best. Often I don't have fresh. I just add dried. Then you add red pepper flakes and you just let that simmer. So we're just garlic, stock, butter, thyme, rosemary, red pepper flakes, and you get that going. Now, here's the trick. You take 2 tablespoons of flour in a cup. So I'm reading this off of what she told me. You take 2 tablespoons of flour in a cup, you add water to it, but it needs to still be thick. So this is specifically what she told me, not as thick as pancake batter, but not thin, loose. So just somewhere in
Making
between
like a
what
roux.
you would.
Okay.
Yes. And you just slowly whisk that into the sauce. Now you're going to bring the heat up to high and you're going to add 12 ounces of cherry tomatoes and chopped up basil.
Ooh.
Now this is where I depart from the recipe because I actually just prefer the basil to be added a little bit later. I don't, for some reason, trust the basil getting hot. You can always add more at the end, but I just hold back on the basil a little bit. And then you add 1 cup of Parmesan cheese to the sauce. So that's what obviously makes it at the end. And then you can finish it with more crushed red pepper. I don't just because I usually like to give it to my daughter.
Okay.
But that's it.
Interesting.
It's just so good. It's so good. And then I use a specific pasta though. It's called Anna. And it's these I actually forget what it's called. I'll have to get back to you on that, but it's like a spiral pasta. It's like a spaghetti, like a thin spaghetti, but it's in a curly, like a curl.
Okay.
And then I'll serve it depending. So I will serve it with chicken cutlets and it's insane. It's just delicious.
That sounds good though.
Yeah, a Caesar salad on the side if you're feeling fancy.
Well, I love that. The one I want to share today is my favorite baked ziti.
Did we say Promise Keeper pasta? Is that what it was
Promise
called?
Keeper pasta.
Okay.
So I'm going to go
Hit
with my
me.
baked ziti because it's been my favorite here lately.
Okay.
The baked ziti is, I use, we're going to go with meat with me. So I'm going to use like a pound of Italian sausage and a pound of ground turkey. Brown that in a pot, and then I cut up an onion, I depending on how much you make. So I cut up onion, I cut up red bell pepper, I cut up green bell pepper. I put in tomato paste, garlic paste, because garlic paste is my new best friend lately.
I've never heard of garlic paste.
Garlic paste, it's like a way to get a lot of garlic without having to cut up a lot of garlic. It's like concentrated garlic. And you get it in the produce aisle, but it's in a container, like a squeeze container. And it's amazing. So I use garlic paste. I use diced tomatoes, and I use some tomato puree. So I put all of that together, and then I'm seasoning. And as I'm seasoning, of course, I'm using my seasoning salt. I'm using Italian seasoning, and I'm using oregano, right? From there, and I do put a little bit of sugar, just a little bit, to kind of break the acidity a little bit for my pasta. So then I make my ricotta sauce. So with my ricotta mixture, I put the ricotta, I get a big container of ricotta cheese. I put in Parmesan and mozzarella. I put in fresh spinach that I'll roughly chop, not too fine, because I like spinach in my baked ziti. So I put in fresh spinach, and I mix an egg in there, and I mix that all up. And I'm baking the pasta, the ziti pasta. Not baking it, I'm boiling the ziti pasta, and I boil it to just under al dente. And so I layer the pan. I put it in a pan. While all of this is happening, I probably have some garlic cloves, some garlic heads in the oven with some olive oil and a little bit of Himalayan sea salt so that I can make my fresh garlic bread. But so then I layer it in the pan. So there's like the sauce on the bottom. There's the ziti. There's the ricotta mixture, big scoops of the ricotta mixture in the middle, then more pasta, sauce, and mozzarella in between, and then mozzarella on top. And yeah, I throw that in the oven, and I will serve it with garlic bread, and it's in the oven for about 15-20 minutes, so everything just comes together.
Is it at your temp 350?
At my 350, yes, ma'am, for about 15-20 minutes. And then my garlic bread is like a crusty sourdough or a rustic sourdough. And I take those garlic, once the garlic cloves have been in the oven for about 45 minutes, I squeeze them into room temperature butter. And then I mix that up, and I might put a little bit of salt and pepper on that. And then I lay that over that. I smear that over that garlic, over that sourdough bread, and might put some mozzarella and some Parmesan cheese on top of that and throw that back in the oven, honey. And you serve that baked ziti with that fresh homemade garlic bread. Let me tell you something. It's amazing. This is the stuff that makes men propose to you. Not even kidding you.
I forgot that you make your own garlic butter.
Oh yeah, I don't play around.
So you just mash the garlic. Wait, tell me about that again. You just mash the garlic into the room temperature butter?
Into the room temperature butter, mix it up really good. And so when you're smearing it on the bread, you're getting like garlic chunks. And then that mixed with that cheese is just heavenly.
That's a huge game changer. I actually just got so hungry thinking about when you bake whole cloves of garlic. That's actually one of my LA memories. There was this place called Lucifer's Pizza no. It wasn't that place. It was a place across the street from where I worked that had these garlic fries, and they would bake these heads of garlic in the oven, and they would just put like 1 million of them all over the French fries. Oh, I've never encountered that in New Jersey again. If someone can tell me where they're doing that, I'll be the first one to show up. It's so
So
good.
yeah, that's my Promise Keeper pasta recipe, and it's
Okay.
amazing.
So I'll try that, and then we'll compare notes next week.
Absolutely.
And
So
I did make the tacos last night. I'll just tell you really quickly. They do not sell Lowry's taco seasoning in ShopRite in New Jersey.
Oh,
or
that's
at least not in
rude.
my ShopRite. I
That's
know.
rude.
I checked both the international aisle. I know you said it wasn't there, but I checked the seasoning aisle as well, the seasoning packet aisle. They have all kinds of taco packets in both aisles. None of them were Lowry's.
Wow, that's
So
rude.
I ended up going with Cholula. Everything for a reason, right? So I ended up I had that Uncle Bob memory from like he loved Cholula. That was his preferred hot sauce that he always had in the fridge. So I said, you know what? We were talking about recipes and Uncle Bob had come up, and so let me just go with the Cholula and I'll give it a shot. And it was actually pretty decent. So it was cool because I sort of discovered a new one I might go to. But what I did do differently is because I didn't have ground turkey, I only had ground beef, but grass-fed, grass-finished always. But I did the lettuce this time, and the biggest thing is I switched to the corn tortillas. I have not been enjoying those flour tortillas. They're too like gluey, and I just haven't been enjoying them, but I get them because that's what my family likes. I went right to the store and I picked myself up a package of those flour tortillas and I fried that up on the stove, and it was a huge game changer.
Now, I have a question. For your tacos, do you cut up onion and cilantro for your meat?
Of course, but what I did last night, because I actually had another, just two quick questions before we sort of wrap up. One question, one comment. So you had said at the end of that recipe that it's a 15-minute meal. Now this meal took me 45 minutes. So again, with the time,
possible?
I know, and I don't understand how 15 minutes is possible. So I timed it beginning to end. Now I want to put it out there that I did make my salsa cruda.
Oh, okay.
I made my own salsa, so that did add a little bit of extra time. And then I also mistimed the tortillas. I probably should have put the tortillas on the pan like about 5 to 10 minutes before I was wrapping up everything sort of being chopped. But it takes me a long time to chop things. And I did do the cilantro. I did the avocado. I did the onions. It's like I shredded the cheese, which is huge. You cannot use a cheese in a bag.
You can.
And it was really time consuming for me. And then
Even if you told me it took you 30 minutes, I'd have been happier. But 45 doggone minutes?
It took 30, but then I told you I forgot to put the tortillas on. And then so after, it took me another 15 to just do 6 tortillas plus loading everything into my child's 3-section plate.
Oh, okay.
Another 15 minutes was added. So it took that long. And then that was just my comment is I was not able to do that in 15 minutes at all. But my second thing is, do you have a container that you're putting all these toppings in? Because that was something I wanted just a follow up, because here's what's going on. I've got, those, what are those things called? Ramekins. I have a ramekin in every single different size. And I have a small one for the cilantro, a little dip cup for the cilantro. I've got a ramekin for the avocado. For the shredded cheese, I've got the bigger one. And then I've just got 10 of these things. And then they're taking up the entire top of the dishwasher when I'm finally ready to clean the kitchen. And I need just one centralized thing where I can put all the fixins in it. Do you have that for me?
I have one dish that has a center bowl where we put the salsa. And then you have the cilantro, you have onion. There's one to put onion. There's one to put tomato. There's one to put lettuce. Are they different
sizes? Because cilantro is not going to match with the shredded cheese. They're completely different volumes.
No, they're all one size, all the circular ones. So it's just one dish. It's one dish.
Oh, okay. Can you send it to me?
I will send it to you.
Because I really need a solution here, because it's really, really not working for me. Even just probably the trips to the cabinet took an additional 5 minutes.
Oh, no, I will send it to you because it's going to be perfect, especially when you have taco night. I love having taco night when we're just having, someone over and it's simple and it's unexpected. Yeah. Tacos always are a go-to, and then you can make it look really pretty with this dish. So I'll happily do that for you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I love you. This has been amazing as usual. What a great conversation. I'm going to go ahead and sign off and just wish everyone goodbye and be great on purpose.
I just love that. And have a great 24, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Always by your side. I'll be always by your side. Through shifting skies and endless miles, I walk with you through every trial. And it's enough, I gotta say. It's super important, we all need a place where we can just check in, kick back, unwind, surrounded by widows that feel like mine. These are the people sharing you up. Tears is for tears when things go wrong. Oh, a friendly show, yeah, they got your back.